Welcome club members, visiting Rotarians, and visitors. Our speaker today is Tiffany Pearson, who will be sharing about wearable art. I don't know where she went, but she'll be back. And Dan Jones is going to introduce a visitor that we have today.
Thank you, Jay. Pleased to have as my guest today, Andrew Hinton, Executive Director of the Sitka Homeless Coalition.
Hi, yeah, thank you so much for having me here today. I know many of you know me. I've been at a couple meetings in the past, but I'm really glad to have the opportunity to get to sit in today and to be Dan's guest. And yeah, thank you so much for having me as your guest.
Thanks, Andrew. Welcome. Do we have any other introductions? None. Any introductions online? Silence. All right. Here's my favorite part of the whole meeting. Are you guys ready? Let's rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The Tlingit people have been indigenous to this land for over 10,000 years. Unishish to the Tlingit people for their stewardship of Tlingit Ani since time immemorial and today. According to my agenda, I was supposed to come up with a quote, so this is kind of where I'm at today. If you worry about what might be and wonder what might have been, you will ignore what is. And that's author unknown, which is always my favorite, right? And let's see, where is Tiffany? Or I'm gonna have,
there. She's on the bottom.
no, she was right here.
Oh.
She's here.
Once Tiffany's back, I will introduce her and she will take it from here. I
You're
hear
gonna do
voices.
Happy Bucks or?
That's later.
Oh, after Tiffany?
Yep. All right. Hey, Tiffany. You're up.
You're right. You gonna start her already?
Huh?
Are you gonna start her already?
Yep.
Okay, then let me introduce her.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, today Tiffany Pearson, local health extraordinaire, will speak to you about, I think it's a restart of wearable art. So, Tiffany Pearson.
Hey guys. Okay, so.
So you think about it.
Okay.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Tiffany.
Okay, can you all see that? Is it good? Okay, well, I was supposed to have Bobby here to help me, but it's all good, I don't mind. Thank you for having me. It's my first time at the Rotary presentation. I'm a little nervous, but I see a lot of familiar faces, so I feel better about it. So bear with me. So this year, Great Sitka Arts Council hired me to help with wearable arts. It's my first year, and I've spent many years attending. So it's a new experience for me being on the other side and realizing how much work really goes into it, which is always fun. But this year we have a really good show and people are really excited to come out because it's been a couple years. So I'm just going to take you through what's been going on lately and learn a little bit about wearable arts for those who don't know. I see many people in this room that would know, but just giving a general overview of what's been going on with wearable arts. So this year's show is Awakening, Life Begins Again. And the idea behind that was because everything's been shut down for so long and COVID's kind of taken over. We just want to do a reboot and have people come out and bring out their old designs and new designs, just anything that they have in their closet, just to restart wearable arts. So it's not a really big year of, the idea is more just to bring people back together again. It's not necessarily to just be flashy and big, but just to welcome everybody back as old friends and old designers. So what is wearable art? Jeff Budd, I think he's on Zoom. I hope he's on Zoom. Hi, Jeff. He would describe, in the past he's described wearable art, it can be anything. It can be designs made from somebody who want to create a statement. It can be made from fancy materials. It can be made from, it can be anything. But Wikipedia defines it as art pieces in the shape of clothing or jewelry. Typically it's handmade, original pieces. And yeah, anything, it can be anything, really. Who are the Greater Sitka Arts Council? Greater Sitka Arts Council is they support all the local arts in Sitka. It's kind of an obvious statement. And their mission is to bring intentional arts experiences to the community by using the power of creative connection. Some of the things that they do throughout the year, they have Porch Fest. They support Sitka Strings. They support all the grind events every month. They have a spring and a fall art walk, and they support the Sitka Community Theater. Wearable Arts is the biggest fundraiser for Greater Sitka Arts Council throughout the year, though. That's their big event. This year, what's been really fun is we're really trying hard to bring wearable arts into the schools a lot more. And we've had some great connections made with Management High School. The NHS program and the art class have students who are really interested in participating. We have 2 students who exclusively signed up to design their own pieces, and they have their own music, which is kind of a big deal. It's the first time that I know of that Managcome's really kind of taken the reins on creating their own design. We also have been in contact with the dance group over at Managcome. Chola, I don't know her married last name, Chola Dick from local town. She is running 4 or 5 dance groups over at Managcome, and this has been a big year for them because she's really trying to, they're getting their footing underneath them. So she's learning about, a lot of these classes are more just, some of them will be dance groups, some of them will be education groups, like outreach for the other students. So this was not a good year for them to start doing wearable arts, but she's really interested in the future having them participate in some form or another. And we also have some designers who have, I think there's 6 models from Managcome who are going to help participate and dress in some of the designs locally as well. So we have a fair amount of participation from Managcome, which is really exciting because we always want to get the kids involved. And Sitka High, National Honor Society, and Managcome High School as well. National Honor Society will be helping volunteer during the shows. They'll be, backstage, working, cleaning up, setting up. The Sitka softball team is going to be holding a fundraiser with chocolate mousse, and they're going to be doing crowns. They're going to be building, and in the past they've had crowns, but they're making floral crowns to sell at Wearable Arts this year, which is fun. And the home ec class at Sitka High will be putting together charcuterie boxes for our VIP section this year. So that's a new thing. VIP section is a new add to Wearable Arts, and the idea is that we will be having along the runway, we will be having some tables set up, and each VIP spot will have a beverage of choice, and in the evening show it will be alcoholic beverage. And then at the 2 o'clock show, they will be non-alcoholic. But then they'll have charcuterie boxes, which will be made and created by the home ec department Sitka High, which is really great. And they've created a whole unit around it, which is super fun. So not only are they participating in wearable arts, it's also something that's been transformed into some learning at high school too, which is fun. The music department is in charge of making carameled apples, and they're going to be selling those at wearable arts as well. So just different areas and ways that the high school can communicate or participate. It's been kind of exciting. A history of wearable arts in Sitka. This was Bobby's slide, so I won't have a lot to say about this, but we can go through it. Jeff Budd is the founder of Wearable Arts. Started in 2009. Does that look right, Jeff? Okay, good, 2009. And it's been going, except I think the last 2 years they have had to cancel. But, and we have Ketchikan, Petersburg, Juneau, and Anchorage all participate in wearable art shows. Ketchikan's been participating for like 40-ish years. They were one of the originals, and I think in one of Jeff's interviews he mentioned that New Zealand started this, but Ketchikan's been going longer, so there's kind of a debate on who's been having wearable art shows longer, which is kind of interesting and amazing. So every year there's different themes and new designers, and this year we will have a crossover. We have a fair amount of designers who have participated in the past. Cindy Gibson will be one of them, and we love all of her pieces. But then we have some new designers as well. So, and like I said, it's the biggest fundraiser for Greater Sitka Arts Council. So, in the future, we've spent a lot of time talking about this year. We really hope to make this a week-long event, kind of like Mardi Gras. If you've been here in the past and you know what Mardi Gras is like, make it more of a festival, build it to where there's more community involvement, you know, just find a way to include more people and do something fun in the winter in Sitka. So we'll have maybe possibly a marketplace with different food vendors, some workshops, some different classes. Yeah, and then the idea behind this was more to grow the wearable arts community, to create a bigger connection with the Trend group in Anchorage. And part of Trend, I don't know if you've heard about it, but Trend is a wearable arts show in Anchorage. It's a very big show, and it's got, there's lots of press involved. There's just, it's just a really big group. And we kind of want to join forces with Trend. In the past, we've had them come and attend our shows, but the talks have been that we would like to create some sort of bridge between the two groups, so they would have people attend ours, we would have people attend their wearable arts, as well as flying some of our people up and just kind of creating a more of a community-based wearable arts group in Alaska. So that's the hope. Some past materials used for designs. There's been so many, but these were some of the ones we talked about. And on the slide you'll see this is one of Cindy Gibson's designs. And I don't have the exact title of what those pieces are used on the list. What were those? Fish bones that were there? Yeah, fish bones. So they've used ponchos, tarps, beer caps, bubble wrap, orange fishing gloves, roofing shingles. And the idea behind roofing shingles, that was Michelle Kennedy's design, and it was to promote, I believe, getting the shingles vaccination, which was kind of unique and fun. Bras, dog bags, duct tape. So a lot of these are used for humor and for connection between the pieces' meaning, but some of them are just kind of like recycled and people find them around and they're able to use them. Here are some of the past designs that we've had. And a couple of these artists are going to as well be part of this year's performance. And so we have a bunch of little kids who's participated in the past. And these, this year we're only going to have, I think we have 2 students under the age of 16 attending, but mostly, or participating, but mostly it's just 16 and older. Alaska Airlines girls. And so the last slide was, I wanted to show you wearable arts around the world. This was the 2022 World of Wearable Arts winner. And this dress, I don't know if you can see it very well. She's got the cylinder tube above, and it's connected to all of these pieces, and she can move it around, and every time she moves it, it's like her skirt lifts in different directions, and it's this geometric, like, awe-inspiring piece. And so I'm going to finish with a short YouTube video on the world of wearable arts in New Zealand. So we'll see if it plays. I'm going to turn it around because nobody can see it. And it's really cool.
Is it on, can you just share a different screen?
Maybe. Let me look.
Like, you might have to unshare that one.
Shared screen is paused. Resume share. Hold on.
I would just say stop sharing and then start over.
Stop
Do you want me to fix
here.
it?
Thank you, Cindy. Let's see.
There, yeah.
Can you see this one? No, you can't see this one.
Thanks, Cindy.
You,
Come help me. I'll grow out.
maybe.
Because it's not embedded in it.
Oh, yeah.
It's not shared anymore.
You have to go share screen.
Okay.
And then you click on that.
Thank you.
And then
Double click it.
over here.
There we
Okay,
go.
now- now. But you can make.
Looks like the side of the bridge.
We're just gonna do this.
Oh, yeah, it's
It's really unique and like quirky but entertaining as well.
Yeah, sold. Let's do it, yeah.
Oh my goodness, I did not expect it. Amazing. Yeah, brilliant.
Is it?
So, can I say a couple things about WOW?
Yeah.
That show, you enter your piece, but you have to like get it to them by April, and they don't have the show until August because they spend all year doing set designs, costuming, music. They have a stage that rotates, and they have 5 stages that rotate around somehow, because it's like a giant theater in there, and every stage has like a lazy Susan where the artist comes out, the person. And so all this crazy stuff is happening in the background that supports the piece, but the piece that the person makes is just that piece. But they have dancers, and the model is just given to you. You don't pick a model, you don't get to say anything about the model. They just tell you what sizes you have to do, and then they put the model in your piece. And so they grew it into this giant thing. It used to be just, I think, a local lady, and Jeff Budd probably knows her history, where she was trying to promote, I think, her retail store, and she came up with this wearable art thing. Maybe she saw Catch Can, and then did that, and now it's this huge annual, internationally renowned event with hundreds of thousands of dollars of prizes and things. So
Where's it at?
it's in Wellington, New Zealand. Yeah, it's one of my bucket list trips.
Tiffany, you're gonna have a bunch of questions here, but why don't you engage Jeff Budd there and make him either answer questions or go back and forth with you, because he's got so much background.
Great. How do I have to unmute them? or-
You just talk to him. I think
He's unmuted right now, I think, yeah.
Okay.
Jeff Budd.
Jeff?
I hear you, Jeff.
Hi, Jeff.
Hear you, I don't know if you can hear me.
I can hear you.
We can hear you. Ask him a question.
Talk, Jeff.
So, what do you think? Is it pretty close to what you remember?
Yeah, it's right on.
Great.
So what do you remember?
Tiffany, I'm sorry, he's a dud.
I can tell you something else about a trend
Ooh,
show.
questions. Yes, go ahead.
Go ahead, Carl.
So are all the wearable arts basically in the state around the same time, or they spread out through the year? How's that?
Yeah, so it's changed a little bit, but generally, I think trend is in October this year. Or it was in October last year, but now it's in January, right? It's changed.
It was in October the very first year in 2019, I think.
And I think I remember hearing that it's in January this year, which is not.
It's January 28th this
Yeah.
year.
So, but Catch a Can show is a week before ours, and Juno's show is around the same time, but Juno only does one every other year. So the plan is to hopefully, especially with Juno, kind of collaborate and bring some of their artists here and our artists over there as well.
When does Anchorage have their show?
That's the show in Anchorage, it's Trend. It's January.
And it's actually, that's a group of ladies who got together, formed this sort of nonprofit. They wanted to raise money for different nonprofits and also bring kind of like fashion awareness to Alaska, because I don't know if you guys know this, but Alaska's like on the list of most fashionable states in the US. It's number 50. And so they're trying to like elevate it a little bit. And so it's actually a fashion show, and they have about 4 wearable artists that they sprinkle in. And they have designers from all over the state come and show their collections. And it's really interesting because there's like native people with like fur sewing stuff, or just native design stuff, and there's like very traditional girly things, and there's menswear, and it's like a real fashion show. And then just to mix it up, they sprinkle in the wearable art things. Yep, and they wanted to have the winner from every event in Southeast, so one from Juneau, one from Catch Can, one from Sitka, and I think Petersburg has a show sometimes. They wanted each winner to come up and be their 4 people in their show every year, but it, you know, COVID hit, and they just take submissions now, and they're just, I think, still happy. It's a small enough community, they're just happy to get people submitting pieces. So.
And you're doing Trend this year too, right?
Yeah.
You're going up to Trend, which is really exciting. Is this your first year or second year?
It's my 3rd time going there, but they, so I'm making pieces for Trend, but I went last year. Their show last year was in February. So this year in Sitka, I'm showing my old Trend pieces. I have 3. I'm doing 3. But I brought some stuff to show people if anybody wants to see. Like, you can use trash like this. I actually use this to help me make a corset stay. You have to put like pieces of plastic in your corset, and in Sitka there's no store that sells corset ribs or corset stays. So I ran out and I didn't want to order it because I get sick of spending money on this stuff too. But so I just went to recycling and cut some stays out. They're not super strong, but it's good enough for a wearable art piece. So you can find all kinds of things that inspire you, and nature inspires me a lot. So I made, I do a lot with fish parts because there's a lot of fish parts just laying around everywhere outside, and they're easy to get and they're free. And so I started experimenting with fish skins, and so I made these, I took halibut skins, rockfish skins, which you can get free, you know, down at the fish processor. And I cleaned them and then I dyed them with food coloring and I made flowers, which is like perfect for the theme because the idea is that you put your dead fish in the garden and then in the summer you have like a beautiful garden. So one of my pieces this year is called How Does Your Garden Grow? With, you know, the old saying is with silver bells and cockle shells and little maids all in a row, but mine's with like rockfish skins and halibut bones and little salmon scales all in a row or something like that. And so y'all can, and I just buy some stuff, like this glove I bought. I did not make this glove because that's just a colossal waste of my time because I'm busy trying to figure out other things. But that's the garden glove and you guys can pass those around. So those are just halibut skins, and I think there might be a little bit of rockfish on there. He's like, I'm not touching yours.
I love how you're just like, oh, I just whipped this up, I just made it, and that's like, some people are just amazed by that because it's hard to think about those things.
Well,
but I love that part about this show is that people can come and they have those thoughts and they can create these pieces and they show up and you look at these beautiful creations and you think, how did they make that? And they describe all of this too, and it's just really awe-inspiring.
Well, I've done some collaborations too, which is really helpful because I can never think of what, you know, Jay might think of, or Don, or anybody in the room. You're all gonna think of something different than I would. And that's kind of the fun part because it opens up that creative energy and brain. And then it makes you feel like you're not alone, you know, when you're collaborating. You don't have to be the model. Sometimes there are people who are like, oh, I could never do that. I don't like getting up in front of people. Well, anymore, I never model my stuff because I think it's more fun to have a model. And I also like dancers modeling my stuff because they can really add theater to the experience for the audience.
And Melinda's dancers will a lot of time model as well, which is really fun.
Yeah, I've contacted some of her dancers.
This is Bobby Jordan. Bobby Jordan is a Great Sitka Arts Council board member, and she's also helping to do the wearable arts this year and the other years. And she does all the beautiful photographs you've seen too. So yeah. So sorry, I was tutoring. Do we have more questions?
Rachel wants to ask a question.
Okay. Hi, Rachel.
Hi. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. I just wanted to say that I am really excited to see the wearable arts coming back for Sitka. And I love the idea of having a video week that is really focused on the arts. And I think that this time of year is a great time of year for that to happen. While schools have sessions, people are looking for inspiration and something to get us through winter. Cindy, I'm going to be up at Trend. This year they're supporting the nonprofit that helps with women with gynecological cancers, and so as I had gone through that in my right after high school, and so knowing that I love wearable art and fashion and all of that, and then wanting to go to Trend since they started, I'm going to be able to do that, and I love your VIP option, so you'll see me there at the Sitka show for sure. Yeah, I really appreciate you coming in and sharing with us, Tiffany, and I'm glad to see the show is happening.
Great. Thanks, Rachel. Yeah, it's going to be super fun.
So one material that I took note of years ago was they used planer wood shavings that go curly Q and made a whole outfit made out of these planer shavings, which I thought was pretty amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, and Bobby, you might be able to talk a little bit about that too. John is also a board member for the Arts Council as well. Is there any more? And Melinda?
Yeah.
A lot of great.
No,
Arts Council
it's
people here.
amazing what people create. And so, yeah, that was like almost like a samurai kind of a type of a costume or design that this individual made, but he had kind of like a praying mantis type of a head piece, and so it was very cool to watch what everybody winds up creating. And I'm always in awe because I am so not that in that vein at all, and so I'm constantly in awe of what people come up with, and always, yeah.
Just keep talking, I'm gonna show you a picture.
That's probably a lot of wood glue, is all I'm thinking.
Yeah, it's a lot of wood glue. So Cindy's talked about, you know, her stuff with the fish designs and all of those types of things. You know, did you already talk about all the different kinds of items?
Well, we didn't really go into detail about some of the designs. We just did the slideshow. So yeah, maybe you could talk more about that because I just had some pictures. But
Well, in addition to wood shavings and fish parts, we've had, let's see, 1 year somebody did one entirely out of bras in honor of her mother who had dealt with breast cancer. I'm anticipating we might see something with masks because of COVID. I mean, that would be a logical use of cloth masks. We have had Beanie Baby costumes, doll costumes, or designs. Let's see, what else? Michelle Putz made one completely out of ceramic tiles. I always wondered how much that one weighed. We also had a design that was made out of clothespins, and it was really heavy. We've got the shoes, and we have the handbag of that design at the back door. Did you tell them?
No, go ahead.
We do have a show, several creations hanging in the back door, along with prints that I had blown up to 11 by 17 to put up there, and to help advertise this event that it's coming, and those types of things. But yeah, the stuff that people come up with is just phenomenal. Plastic bags.
Bullet cartridges.
Yes, the one with the bullet cartridges. That was also very fascinating.
Bill Foster had CDs.
That was Karen Kraft that did CDs. Did he do CDs too?
He did CDs too. But,
The two that I remember of his is he had a license plate collection, and he made an entire outfit out of old license plates, and then did I've Been Everywhere. That was his song as he walked up and down the runway. And the other one, because I'm a photographer, this one sticks with me, he took old slides and made a design out of old slides and walked up and down the runway to Kodachrome. So
he's done bag tags.
Yeah, Alaska Airlines has used bag tags. They've used all different kinds of types of parts of whatever the paper is at Alaska Airlines to make various designs. So
somebody did bottle caps too.
Yeah, wine corks, newspaper, book pages. Let's see, Tyvek.
Lots of plastic bags.
The little pods from Keurig's. Paper cups from coffee. Yeah, I mean, it's unlimited.
It would be really nice to have the trend group or the people who create more of a fashion version of this to intermingle with us, because I've noticed that a lot of our show is like, which is super cool, is recycled and upscaled and just making a design out of something that may otherwise be trash. But it'd be really cool to kind of find a way to blend those as well, have more finer designs.
And we're hoping that we will be able to have trend people come attend next year and help to jury for those people that do want their pieces to be juried. It just didn't wind up working out this particular year. They changed their date and we changed our date just a little bit different based on what was available. Pardon?
What is the date?
For wearable art?
Yeah.
February 4th.
So when John mentioned wood shavings, that reminded me about this Juneau artist that made this dress that you see on the screen. He called her Lady of the Wood. He was a wood artist, and those are all wood veneers, and her wig is made out of shavings from the wood. And he entered that dress in New Zealand and won the year. It was like back in the early 2000s. And he's since done several others and gone to New Zealand. He doesn't live in Juneau anymore, but yeah, super cool.
When I attended the Juneau one in 2018, I believe, somebody had done glue sticks and had made an entire dress out of melted glue sticks. Yeah, that was very interesting. And another person had done one out two dresses out of melted crayons.
A lot of the designers that we have too, they create more than one design. So I think the most we have is 5 this year from one designer. And I know in the past we've had at least 2 or 3, but this year there's so much creativity. They need to do more than one design, which is super cool.
Yeah.
So the high fashion end of things, are there designs that show up here that end up to be commercial? I mean, fancy dresses and outfits and that kind of stuff?
Well, the one I know of is that's had a lot of press was Cindy Gibson's design, and it ended up going places. Maybe you could talk a little bit about that. I know it was up in Anchorage and then ended up.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's, what's your question? I sold it to the Museum of the North in Fairbanks because they wanted a contemporary representation of people from Southeast Alaska and how they interact with their environment. And that seemed to fit their bill really well. I had no intention of selling it, but when they said they wanted to buy it, I was like, of course, you know, it's great because these things take up real estate in your house, and they just, I think it's like a teenager. Great, it's moving out, it's paying its own rent, it does its own laundry, and I can go visit it, which ironically, I did visit it a couple of times. I was in Fairbanks once, and so they had me come and just be there and talk to people about it. And then Trend really wanted it the first year they did it in 2019. So I said, well, museums loan stuff, let's just ask them. So since I was going to be there, they sent that piece down. And so I met up with it just like I meet up with my daughter in places. We go out to lunch and have a great time, and it's like, oh, that was so fun. So, and then it was in the show, and then it went home, and I went home. And I didn't do anything after that. It was great. That's cool. So, you know, I was trying to get it into the New Zealand show, and it just wasn't quite there when I sent my pictures in. And I don't know, New Zealand is very artistic. You look at those pieces, it's like now a international rather competition. People from around the world are entering this competition, and those pieces are very, I don't think of myself as somebody, like you look at those pieces and it's like, they are weird or just different. And I don't, you know, I have a full-time job and I don't really, so I don't know if I'll ever try to enter that show. But I want to go see it someday. Maybe I'll change my mind. Maybe if I'm not working full-time, I could come up with something. But it has to sort of happen naturally. Like the salmon bone one, I knew I wanted to do bones, and I just copied a salmon skeleton, that shape, with the ribs, you know, coming off the vertebrae. So that was done. The design was done. I didn't have to, I had to figure it out, but you know, I didn't do anything weird with it, like those New Zealanders.
Some really wild
There's some wild
ideas.
stuff. I mean, that dress that won last year, that thing was crazy. You should YouTube it and watch it move, because it just looks like a normal dress, and then she picks up this hoop, and it's like magic. You know those lights or those things you hang for birthday parties, right? And they make a ball out of a flat piece of thing, and they're all honeycombed. That's kind of what this dress does. And it's really pretty.
Yeah. The really cool thing about this show here and in other places, I'm sure too, is just to be able to connect people with the art form and the inspiration, because I know I've attended a couple of these shows and already I think, oh, I need to do a design next year. And I'm sure, Cindy, this probably was one thing that you never really realized it would take you to this different place or add this element of, you know, excitement into your life, which is part of the Arts Council mission, you know, connecting people through art, which is super cool. So the more we can do that, the better.
Explain a little bit about what the show is. It's a runway show, so the folks march out into the audience on a platform or
Yeah.
a runway.
Yeah, so we have typically, I think, between 15 and 20 pieces that will be showcased. And the artists we have a lineup set for them for when they need to perform their piece. And they each get 2 minutes on the runway, and the runway goes out 40 feet from the stage. And so they come out and they present their piece, the music starts, and then they have 2 minutes to get from the stage back to the runway and do whatever they need to do. And sometimes these designs have multiple people in it, so we give them a little bit more time if they have more than 2 people. So they just do the catwalk, and they spend 2 minutes on the stage with their music, and then they are done. In the beginning, they do spend, I think it's the announcer, the MC, will talk a little bit about their piece. They'll give a description on the meaning behind it and some of the materials used, and then they'll come out and present. So yeah, that's typically.
And then at the very end, we have kind of a parade of everybody who has been in, and you know, for like their little encore, and then they can all together though instead of individually.
And then at the end of the show, you showcase all of the designs in another room so people can come and look up close and see well, I really wanted to check out that wine cork dress. I want to see how that's made. And so the designers will come out in their designs, and they'll stand in a room, and you'll get a chance to meet with them and talk about their designs as well. Yeah. So
Lots of fun stuff. We're very excited.
Jeff has a question or a comment.
Yeah, just the thing that I remember the most when I was in Ketchikan, the first 3 or 4 years I did it was half a dozen women that had breast felt items or things they did it. And one day, one year, Ray Troll showed up in a 2x4 vest. Oh, we can do whatever we want.
I really like how you say that, because it's so true. You really can do what you want. And so that means anybody can participate, and it makes it a lot more fun. So, all right, thank you.
I'd like to thank our speakers. They made it so easy for me to run this meeting. Thank you guys again.
Thank you for having us.
All right, so I don't think we have any new member installations, so I'm moving on. Do we have a sergeant at arms yet? Silence.
I'll be the sergeant of arms. Diane Jones, you owe us $5.
Thank you.
I should have let John talk me into it. Okay.
You should have.
Jeff, you meet me, right?
Jeff?
And Carl has to pay $5 as well.
Carl.
Thanks, Carl.
Carl doesn't mess around a little bit $5.
I think the elder on the screen should pay $10 when he shows up.
I second that motion.
He's getting older than I am.
All right.
Dan, you got a five?
Any announcements?
Oh.
Carrie?
Right after the meeting, for anybody who's on the small committee, there will be a animal shelter sign meeting.
John, do you have an update for us?
Me on what?
No, the other John. I'm looking
We're in the
through
direct
you,
line of
John,
sight here.
to the other John.
Can't look. Duck season is underway and proceeding swimmingly. In our first 7 days, we put more money in the bank this year than all of January last year. We're in good shape, 152 business sponsors coming in. We picked up another one today. This is an area where everybody can help. If you would like to participate, let me know. I will send you an electronic letter that will show you who the 153 business sponsors are so that we don't step on toes. But this is an area of growth that can provide a real stable environment for ducks in the future. It's something everyone should think about. Other than that, we just got the new ducks delivered. We have buttons now for our business sponsors. About 30% of them have been delivered. We're getting the rest out, along with the window posters that Dave Lamb came up with last year and that John has turned into reality now for 2 years. Thank both of them. And we're well underway and things are running very smoothly. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Any other announcements?
I'll do one or two.
All right.
Thank you, Jay. This Saturday at Nakahiti is the library drive, getting started on the 100th anniversary of the Sitka Public Library. And then the spelling bee will be February 9th. We're still looking, we have plenty of sponsors. We're looking for teams of 1 or 2.
Thanks, Jeff.
Sir?
All right, Rachel.
I'm not really sure, in all honesty, how the findings work, but I'm just gonna say that the award gala is being held on the 21st at the Centennial, and that's where we give out the Cossack Cap and the Business of the Year, New Business of the Year, and Community Heroes Awards. And there are still some tickets available. And we will have the State of the City, which is the chamber coming back together for in-person meetings every other Wednesday. The first one being John Leach will come and do the State of the City report on the 25th. So more information about that to come.
Where do you guys meet?
I don't know. We aren't able to do the Westmark, so we may do kind of like impressions with what we're doing with the brown bag, and just take away the food option so we can just keep it simple for this winter. Because moving locations and the IT and all of that, there's a lot to that, as you know. So, yeah, so I'll have that information soon.
Great. Thanks, Rachel, and everybody that made announcements. And with that, my favorite part again. Thanks for attending.
Just because.
We just did our January. We did the January one.
I was in Rome last week.
Maybe the third Monday. It's always on Monday.
We're not really. What did you do with the cash?
Just email Lauren. Email
Give it
Lauren.
to John. I'm gonna steal a $5 bill from him. I didn't realize that John Steinberg came too. I thought he had taken change.